engaged already. Look at Black, he can't do much, no mana, the free hit is not there. Lian makes it away with a slash and dice combo, can start it off.
Okay, it's going to be Antares, the victim of a gank here, but gets the first blood with all the unleashed powers.
Trying to disrupt things in. Whoa, look at the damage! Oh my lord, what was that? A triple kill! This is a quadra! Hello is very low! Good evening, Summoners, and welcome back to the Garena LoL Collegiate League Summer 2017 Challenge What You Know. My name is Vulcan, and with me is Chisto, your shoutcasters for the last game of tonight.
Yeah, we just witnessed that previous game between Alpha and USTL, an absolutely explosive matchup, all these skirmishes, all those team fights, and now we move on to the last game between Bulacan State University versus UC, and let's hope we have a good match.
So looking onto the schedule to see, for tonight's broadcast, Game 5 would be BULSU versus UC. And as for Game 4, we did have some announcements in our Facebook page. Do check it out for the reason why we have, skipped our Game 4 for the announcements regarding that. So moving on to Game 5 for BULSU versus UC. What can you say about these two teams' matchup?
Yeah, I definitely expect this to be a very explosive matchup as well. I mean, these teams from the north, they want a team fight a lot. They go for a lot of skirmishes, so I expect a lot of fighting to happen throughout the games.
So with that being said, let's get straight to the drafting phase to see how these teams will draft things out. I mean, when we're expecting an explosive team fight, what do you look for in a composition, Chisto?
I look for tools to engage, but right now it's a Lulu pick for BULSU. Not really the engages support, more on the protection side. Renekton, tricky pick here, but
I really have a soft spot for Renekton, but when you're talking about preseason Renekton fighters right now being at a really weird spot, we did see that Gnar really pop off in the early game, but Hanzo having double the CS of Enzo really paid off. But when you're talking about fighters right now, what's their position in the meta?
Yeah, you mentioned it's preseason, right? And I think the new runes don't necessarily fit the fighters because we have the resolve tree. They're designed solely for tanks, where we have domination and precision for more of these assassin and marksman type characters, but fighters are sort of lingering in the middle. We don't really know where they fit with the new runes yet, so they're kind of still finding their spot. But Renekton, of course, still a very bully of a top laner, able to push around most matchups regardless of the runes or not.
So on for UC, they are going to pick up the Cyan perhaps. It is still being hovered, so that will be a final lock-in onto the Cyan in the top lane. And as for UC, already revealing their top lane matchup and the bot lane, same as for BULSU.
Yeah, and you mentioned what's locked in here. Both teams lacking a mid and jungler. I do expect UC to save their last pick for a counter pick, possibly in the mid lane, but let's look at what they already have picked. Morgana and Caitlyn in the bot lane. If Morgana doesn't get flexed mid, that's a very safe laning phase for the Caitlyn. Caitlyn has a lot of range, so it's really hard to get there. And the Black Shield protection for Morgana as well. Just so hard to catch out the bot lane duo.
As for Bulacan State University, they are going to be banning out the jungler, at least. And for UC, a heavy focus onto the mid lane of for the mid lane of BULSU, which is going to be George. So LeBlanc and Syndra being removed for this game.
Yeah, so with all these mid lane bans coming out, I wouldn't be surprised to see something such as a Vladimir perhaps, or a Zed perhaps, because assassins are very good this patch, I believe. With the new rune system, they deal a lot of damage, and all of that surprising burst and move speed from the new rune system just helps a lot of these AD assassins.
And then when you're talking about the standings, I would say for UC, sitting at a 3-0 right now. And as for BULSU, 1-2. Clearly, Bulacan State University, they are at a disadvantage when you're talking about their standings. I mean, UC, University of Cordilleras, I have personally met some of the players during the last split last year. And I would say they did make it to one of the top teams in the LCL back then when we had the Interconference Series. So clearly, UC entering this matchup, one of the more stronger teams. Well, as Bulacan State University, I have yet to see one of their, I'll say, defining features as a team. They are at a slight disadvantage in the matchup.
Yeah, BULSU has their work cut out for them, but being undefeated, you see that's a lot of pressure as well. If you're undefeated, of course, you don't want to lose your next match. You don't want your 3-0 to become 3-1, but it's still a tough mountain to climb for BULSU if they want to come out of the top of the game. But Jarvan being hovered here, and that's most likely going to go to the jungle because Renekton already locked in. I wonder how they'll round out their comp. I wonder what mid laner they'll blind pick.
So this gives UC the advantage to counterpick the mid lane, which is actually a great bonus for UC. And when you're talking about being a counterpick mid lane, it's very difficult for, I would say, for BULSU to fight back. And wait, I am being bamboozled right now. I don't know. Is this the prod team, you know, bamboozling me or not? So right now it's a hover onto the Ornn.
I don't think it's going to be the Ornn unless they want to go Sion mid. I wonder if it will be locked in. But let's talk about what BULSU has locked in. Malzahar and Jarvan. I really like these two picks because with the first three picks, there's not a lot of engage on Lulu, Renekton, and Tristana. So picking Jarvan and Malzahar, that gives you a lot of engage options with the EQ from Jarvan, very potent. Cataclysm can lock down members, as well as the Flash Nethergrass from Malzahar. Of course, he's been rising in popularity after we saw Crown perform at Worlds 3-0 SKT just playing Malzahar. So players have been wanting to pick that up, and the response from UC, Vladimir is what they're going to pick into the Malzahar.
Got the Ornn, like as we saw in the hover, so that would explain a lot of things. I thought it could be an Ornn support, perhaps, but it's not. So I would say this is actually clever that UC is actually going for the Vladimir, as you said. So I love how the drafting is so far, but I am not a favor of the top lane matchup when it comes to the Sion and the Renekton matchup.
Yeah, in that matchup, even though the runes possibly favor the more tanky champion in Sion, during the early laning phase, Renekton is still a very potent lane bully, and Sion will just hope to survive the early phase and try to scale up, try to get more of that flat health from his passive. And as well as the new rune Overgrowth, you get even more HP. You could get like 4k HP on Sion at 30 minutes. That's very, very tanky.
Like, I remember one time where pinilit mo talaga mag-Cinder Hook mid sa Sion. So
I wanted the bonus HP, man.
So something about the Overgrowth is something that you want to consider. So when you're talking about runes being reforged, there's so much creativity that you can go with. But when it comes to, let's say, who gets the more benefit out of being the more creative ones, I would say it would be the pure tanks. The fighters, as I always keep mentioning, have a really weird spectrum. I don't know what to say it, but a really weird area where they could be either useful or very useless.
Yeah, they're less flexible now because it's either they go down the resolve tree, and that means they're going to be more tanky rather than more damage. But they can go domination or precision and they deal more damage, but they're squishy, and that's a huge choice. You need to look at your team comp, and if you need to provide the tanky stats, you might want to go resolve. But if you feel like you have enough tanks, you can go for that more damage-oriented rune build. You just see what these teams do pick up.
So far as we can conclude our drafting base, University of Cordilleras locking in the top lane side, and the mid lane Vladimir, as you said, but against a Malzahar, I wonder if that's going to be a really good matchup against Jors, because as we all know, UC got the last pick in their mid lane.
Yeah, I think Vladimir into Malzahar is a fairly safe pick. That's going to be a farm lane, but that Vladimir will need to pick up a QSS once he does get a few more items, because if you don't remove the Nethergrass from Malzahar, it just locks you down so much, and if the Vladimir gets locked down, that's a lot of DPS removed from the comp of UC. Let's take note, UC has a lot of scaling on their side, and they're going to try to use this Lee Sin to move towards that late game, but if they don't reach that point, if they get shut down, they're going to have a hard time.
And as for BULSU, Bulacan State University, a lot is riding on this game itself, because as I said before, they are sitting at a 1-2 standings, well, as UC is going undefeated, so both at stakes. I mean, you want to be always undefeated, you want to be keeping that streak, that standing, or you want to be coming back from your standing as a 1-2. So a lot of at stake here for the last game of tonight's broadcast of the Local Collegiate League.
Yeah, it's a very important game as well for BULSU. If they do want to progress into the knockout stage, you need to pick up a win here, because if they lose, their hopes of making it into knockouts and potentially being crowned an LCL champion, it'll just be a farther and harder to climb, harder path to take.
So, as far as we can say for the drafting itself, be sure to watch out for, I would say, explosive team fights. We are talking about a Jarvan being picked up and a Cyan with a very...
Yeah, we gotta watch all those Cyan ultimates. I'm gonna try to drift around these teams. I try to bump into the members of
every
BULSU.
time a Cyan actually ults and I'm wearing headsets max volume, I get mini heart attacks. So let's see, will University of Cordilleras remain undefeated, or will this be Bulacan State University trying to come back from their standing of being 1-2 to even things out so that they have a chance to make it to the knockout stage?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited for this matchup. Seeing all these engaged tools and the Malzahar as well, of course. I keep mentioning Crown and how he single-handedly made Malzahar a popular pick again. Very unorthodox until we saw how he performed that back during Worlds, winning versus SKT. And Malzahar has been rising in popularity. We have seen him a lot. Very simple champion to play, very straightforward. You farm to level 6, and once you get your ultimate, you point your cursor at enemy champion you want to lock down. And if they don't have QSS, they're just not going to stand there. They're just going to be rooted for around 2 seconds. So very simple champ to play and very effective at that.
And this kind of reminds me of the Malzahar that I saw in the LVL, the League of Legends Varsity League, as we are going to be streaming another broadcast this Sunday. Be sure to check it out. And I think LVL itself released the highlight video, so be sure to check it out in our Garena Local Collegiate PH Facebook page to see what I'm talking about when I saw that Malzahar really gets an easy triple kill against MCL Warlocks.
Yeah, check out LVL and check out the Garena Local Collegiate League page. You better like and follow that page if you want to get updates.
You don't want to threaten our viewers, so when you say it, you better like that. But you should like it. You should like it. So, Ignore Machisto said he's not really a friendly guy. I'm more of a more approachable person. So, let's get on straight to the game itself. This is going to be the last game of the broadcast. So, what are your thoughts on the clash, the matchup, we can say?
I think we have to watch how UC's jungler plays, because if Lee Sin doesn't win early game, his team is going to have a really hard time, because as the game goes on, Lee Sin gets less and less relevant in the game because he does get outscaled. I mean, Lee Sin is known as an early game champion, and once he hit that 30 to 40 minute mark, he's just going to be a kick bot. He's just basically going to try to kick someone into your team. So he has to be more effective in the early laning.
So it's a matter of, I would say, being what you're good at your prime. So when you're past your prime, you're going to be like washed up. Is that what you're saying?
I think washed up as a term is kind of too harsh. I want to say less used, less effective. I think that's an easier way to put it.
Because when I'm seeing a Lee Sin in the jungle, we can expect that we're going to be seeing a lot of ganks, a lot of pickups in the early phase. But when it comes to the late game, I find it really hard to see when a Lee Sin becomes really effective. Perhaps maybe when you're talking about Lee Sin using the kick in a rather unorthodox way, using it to a long skill finisher move, or I would say maybe Lee Sin could just be the objective controlling champion, or could go for an easy steal.
Yeah, I think talking about Lee Sin in the late game is definitely one of those flashy champions. He wants to pull off those insect maneuvers, ward up behind an enemy carry, and kick him back into your team. That's what you want to watch from a Lee Sin in the late game, but like we said, it's very hard to pull that off, especially versus a Lulu here. He's going to get Whimsied if he does go in, so that's a lot of shutdown on the Lee.
A lot of pressure for the Lee Sin itself. I mean, when we're talking about junglers, they have a lot of plays in the preseason right now, because as far as I can see in the top lane, that Cyan will be a very hard champion to kill unless he gets a bit too careless, does not respect the damage.
Or if he builds lethality. We have seen lethality Cyan. I'd be very, very happy to see that in the LCL.
No, I wouldn't be happy to see it, because if we do see the lethality sign you are talking about, I mean, I did experience it myself. I mean, one time I slayed Cyan, then suddenly he goes up from the dead. He's very fast, right? When he presses one of his skills, he gets a huge burst of speed, follow that up with, I would say, Yomu's Ghost Play. You're not getting to go anywhere.
Yeah, but you're getting all this free stats, all that free HP, so you're going to be dealing so much damage as lethality Cyan, as well as being tanky, so let's see. Crossing my fingers, he's gonna build lethality.
Crossing my fingers, he don't, and he goes for a full tank build where his team does need it. Because as far as from the experience that I am seeing in the Runes Reforged, especially in the LVL environment, in the LCL, there are tendencies, guy, like when you see that this champion gets a huge snowball lead, snowballing champions, snowballing lanes really dictate a lot in the late game.
Yeah, but we have seen teams come back. We've seen teams with dominant top laners. They win their lane, but eventually as the game progresses, they don't utilize that lead to its full extent, and the game gets turned around and they suddenly begin losing. So let's hope that if one of these lanes do snowball, they don't toss that lead away very easily.
Just like the game we saw where the Enzu in the top lane did a really good job, but weird enough, Hanzo, I don't know how he farmed up so much CS to make himself have more gold than Enzu.
I think it's just because Enzu stopped laning.
Ah, probably. Because when you're talking about a Gnar, I think he was building towards, let's say, split pushing type of Gnar. I mean, the build itself, I mean, Frozen Mallet and then the Black Cleaver. So in this case, I think that's why one of the more popular picks around the preseason changes is, I would say, the Yorick. Being very popular right now, considered one of the highest win rate top laners as of now.
Yeah, talking about Yorick, though, he's more known as a split push champion. You don't really want to team fight with a Yorick, but unfortunately, we don't have Yorick in this game. We have Sion versus Renekton, and talking about that matchup, Renekton has to absolutely win early game, and I wonder what runes he did go for. We always talked about fighters struggling in this preseason, trying to figure out where they go as far as what runes to pick. So let's see how the Renekton chooses to build.
Black Cleaver is usually the normal build for the Renekton, followed by a Tiamat, or if you're doing really well, you can just rush a Tiamat. So as far as, yeah, I would say that if he goes the resolve tree, okay, he's going to be a very durable top player. He can actually bully the lane even more, probably push out the Sion from his lane, because when a Sion does get pushed out of his lane, he can stack up his passive, which is the W, he gets more health.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. But if Sion does stack up that passive, he's gonna be very hard to deal with. Just such a beefy champion in Sion. A 5k HP champion with like 200 armor. Just how do you deal with that?
I remember that one time, yeah, you went 6,000 HP, and when you clashed in, you didn't even last a second. You got instantly bursted. You know why? Because you didn't build any defensive stats. And I think that's a lesson learned here. Don't be, you know, okay, you have a lot of health, but you should not forget about how much armor or magic resist you have. So what is actually the perfect balance, you would say?
I'd say you should not just build full health items, because I do believe I bought like 3 Warmog's armors during that game, but let's not dive into that, please.
You bought 3 Warmogs? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I wanted more HP.
No wonder you got bursted down. So, when you're talking about MR and armor, there's like a certain saying the pro players only pick up, let's say, a certain amount of MR. Let's say 100 MR is enough, or is what?
I think it's situational considering what you're up against, because you don't want to pick 100 MR versus a full AD team comp, right? So you definitely need to adapt what you buy considering what you're up against. So let's see how these players adapt their builds.
Because I think that when you're talking about the preseason, it's about how clever, how smart you itemize. Not because of the fact that you don't have any more scaling runes. It's a very huge setback for champions who really depend on it.
Yeah, and we talked about this preseason, right? Every player in the league is trying to adapt, trying to figure out what to build. What's the meta? The meta hasn't been exactly decided yet, because everyone's still scrambling to figure out what these runes do. How do these fit these new champions? What's strong? What's weak? So these players, they have to adapt. They need to try and figure out as fast as possible what the most viable option for runes are.
Can you read that, by the way?
Yeah,
go read it right now. So as far as we are experiencing some delay, we actually are experiencing some pauses in the game. So for the last game, I would say for BULSU and for UC, I'm pretty much waiting for it. So what did it say? Don't be shy. Wait. Okay, go. So with that being said, looks like the problems have been solved, and we'll be going straight into the game. We'll be live for the last game of tonight of the LCL Summer Term 2017.
Yeah, let's go into the game.
Okay, there we go. So we are now live on the Rift. This is Game 5 of the LCL Summer Term. Challenge what you know, G-Sto, in this last game.
Yeah, I will definitely challenge what I know. As far as this game goes, it looks like both teams are going to try for a level 1, but they're going to just back off here. So looking at the map, I think both junglers want to play towards that top side. They want to influence that matchup. So let's see just where they end up starting.
Because when we're talking about that, we kept talking about the matchup, the talks. But I'm really more onto seeing how everything comes into work, because a lot of things can go wrong. I mean, small mistakes, small ins, tells can really shape how the laning phase can turn out into the mid game.
Yeah, some nice skins being zoomed at here, and man, Snow Day Malzahar. I wish it snowed in the Philippines.
You wish? I don't think you would wish for snow because it's terrible. I have experienced snow. It is very painful to the bones. So, but I think there's going to be more pain for the Vladimir when you're talking about a lane matchup where pre-level 3, this Vladimir is going to have a really bad time when you're talking about being mauled down by those Voidlings.
But Vladimir does have that sustain. If he's able to not get poked down by Jars that much in mid lane, he's going to be able to heal up and potentially get more levels. And once he's 6, he will have kill pressure onto the Malzahar.
So what we're waiting for right now is level 6 for this Malzahar to really lock down this Vladimir. But we're also waiting for the level 3, the level 6 of this Vladimir. So level 6 Vladimir or a level 6 Malzahar, who wins?
I think it's just who gets to jump on who first, because if the Vladimir gets his combo off properly onto the Malzahar, Malzahar is still a fairly squishy champion. If the shield is down, Vladimir can definitely go for the kill with his Ignite, but if Jars pulls the trigger first and Vladimir doesn't have a QSS yet, the Vladimir's going to have an extremely hard time in this lane.
When we're talking about the UC, one of the top performing champion, teams in the LCL, I would say that this is something that BULSU really has to think straight, think carefully, because when you're being careless, I mean, when you give a lead to the mid lane or the top lane, you have to consider that how will you even deal with it when it comes to the late game.
Yeah, definitely. BULSU does not want to pull the trigger too early here. They need to play around their key abilities and not try to overreach versus the members of UC.
That will be the Presti attack, Renekton, being used by their top laner Chris. So he will be running the precision tree on the Renekton. And as for the Sion, I would say maybe Aftershock, but the Undying seems more favorable. Yes, it will be the Undying grasp being used by the Sion. So really interesting matchup. I mean, precision tree versus the resolve tree. We're talking about fighters.
You mentioned press the attack on the Renekton. I think that's a viable option for him, because if you have your empowered W, you will be able to proc the press the attack instantly, and then after your stun, that's all of the damage coming from Renekton. The stun is your setup, and all the follow-up damage will just deal even more to the Sion, but Sion with a grasp, he's gonna get even more flat health. So he's going to be very, very tanky once we reach a 30-minute, but there's a gank in the top lane.
First gank of the game already in top lane. Looks like Chris will be forced to flash away. Still catches the resonating strike for the first blood going to UC.
That was a very well-executed gank by Cry. They're able to pick up Chris, and the patience from Cry to wait for Chris to burn his flash before tossing his Sonic Wave and it lands, he's able to pick up the kill. First blood to Lee Sin. That is huge for UC.
So far, first blood already in the hands of the jungler. And we kept talking about how this Lee Sin can be, could make it or break it. And right now, I would say that since he got the first blood, let's see. Maybe he'll be returning the gank in the top lane or in the mid lane. I would say at this point, Cry could try focusing more onto the bot lane, because mid lane is very tricky when this Malzahar has his passive up.
I actually think Cry can potentially path towards top lane again, because they got that gank off and they didn't really burn their flashes, and with Chris not having flash, the Binding Lance.
Binding Lance, there will be some trade-offs here, but we do see this Jarvan.
Ice is here.
Making his way down to the bot lane. He is pinging. They want in. Looks like Akino spots it. There is no Black Shield just yet. He will be flashing away. France does make it out alive. Looks like they are going to be punishing this Jarvan.
Yeah, I think that flash was kind of unnecessary because he did have the Black Shield protection from Morgana. The knockup didn't land, but Cry, he's waiting in the wings here.
Ooh, let's see. They might just bait him out. And I would say,
did he sneak?
He may go for... He may have snuck through the brushes, but now he will just be recalling. So this will be a very responsive jungler coming from UC.
Oh, I wonder if BULSU will overstep if they do decide to overstep here. But I think Akino's playing this aggressive. It signals the bot lane of BULSU that Cry might be here. So let's just back off, try to play this more patiently. Just wait for the wave to come to us. So really smart decision from BULSU.
And I gotta say, for really quick itemization coming from Kissy, because he immediately picked up the Ninja Tabi. That is gonna delay so much, deny so much damage from the Ruthless Predator.
Yeah, definitely. But since Renekton will press the attack, of course, will try to auto-attack Isayan a lot. Ninja Tabi will mitigate a lot of that damage in this early laning phase.
And not just that, the Ruthless Predator is actually considered a basic attack itself. So great itemization coming from Kissy. So far for Chris, he may opt for 2 long swords, could be the Tiamat, but at this point of the game itself, the lane itself, may opt for the Black Cleaver.
Yeah, the Renekton's items right now, they're very versatile. 2 long swords could build into a lot of things. I mean, I wonder, Lethality Renekton? It's probably teasing you, but talking about the items, that Ninja Tabi being picked up fairly early is because of Cry's well-executed gank, already paying dividends for his top laner. Really well played.
I mean, the first blood did happen in the top lane, so that is the actually one of the advantages that you can get from the first blood. And with that being said, first blood going to, let's say, Cry, and Kissy gets an assist, that gives him already enough gold to actually rush that Ninja Tabi.
Yeah, but right now, though, the game seems to have slowed down after that first blood. The members of BULSU played a bit more safe in lane, really respecting Cry's ability to gank them. But now that George is level 7, he has the Nether Grasp available. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for roam in a possibly top lane or bot lane and set up for a kill.
Really, this is going to be a huge standoff and more of a stalemate for both teams. None of them are committing too much in the team fight. More on looking for pokes, just like that. I mean, at this point, when you're talking about a Morgana and a Caitlyn, you would obviously go for long-range pokes. Don't get too close to the heat of the fight.
Yeah, Morgana and Caitlyn is a very oppressive bot lane because once Morgana lands her binding, which lasts for years, Caitlyn gets chained out with trap, and you're just gonna be stuck in one spot, and you're possibly dead if you aren't able to get out with your flash. So BULSU really respecting the kill pressure from UC. They back off whenever Aquino steps up, but if Aquino does that, he has to respect Ice coming in for a gank. So they have to be very careful on how they position themselves in lane.
I mean, we always talked about this jungler getting first blood, going for the top lane. We don't see him anymore in action. He's more on just on the farming phase. And as you said in the bot lane, it's more of going to be who farms more, who actually pulls the first trigger. But when you're talking about a Lulu support, normally wouldn't you be the one to be a bit more aggressive?
I think Lulu can't be aggressive in this certain matchup because it's Morgana. She shuts down a lot of what Lulu can provide, because if you put the Black Shield on the right target, Lulu can't whimsy that. You can't get slowed. So Lulu is going to be degraded the shield, but ooh, look at that wave clear.
Yeah, that he did get the TMF from the 2 longswords, going for more of a wave clear split pushing Renekton. So at this point, I mean, when he goes for a team fight, I mean, he's not going to last at all. So he should just wait it out, go in for the top lane first. But now we're going to be seeing some action in the bottom lane Riverside of UC and BULSU. They offer the Cloud Drake.
Oh, they don't see this. BULSU's jungler is not in a position to contest. I wonder if BULSU will respond, but if they do pick up this Cloud Drake, very nice pickup. Cloud Drake, not one of the best Drakes in the game,
but it does open up for the next Drake. Seeing how UC, they are confident that we can control the bot lane, so let's take the initiative. But sadly, the next Drake will be another Cloud.
Yeah, they're going to move even faster now, so once that next Cloud Drake do spawn.
The Riverside, though, looks like this. It's going to be a flash burnt by Jovi. Maybe go for this. Ooh, that would be actually a death wish from this Malzahar. He should have just backed away.
Yeah, I wonder why he tried to turn for his ultimate there. Maybe he was scared that UC would go for it.
Ooh, I just love that. That is very satisfying. Cry goes for that double kill dive.
Man, max range on that Sonic Wave. Really well played by the Lee Sin here. And at first we said we thought the game was beginning to slow down. Just like that, 2 for 0 in the mid lane. Really well played by the Lee Sin.
Yes, and for... I don't know what the Malzahar was saying, especially Jorbs, because when you're when you're talking about the, I would say that ultimate, that actually stuns himself longer. And we're talking about a Lee Sin who has a longer range. If he just walked away, he would have lived.
Yeah, and you're talking about pulling the trigger earlier, right? Right there, Yusi was earlier to pulling the trigger. They forced BULSU to be the reactive ones, and with that being said, BULSU just loses out on the trade because Yusi was just faster to the punch.
And not to mention that double kill onto the Lee Sin. I think Cry's getting a lot of damage and items in his build, going instantly for the Warrior Enchantment on his Lee Sin, already sitting in the KD of 3-0. That's going to be Cry further, I would say, extending his time in the game itself, being more relevant.
Yeah, and this is the start you want if you're Lee Sin. You definitely want to be ahead because Lee Sin's a very snowbally champion. You can start snowballs and keep them effectively if you are able to keep up your proactiveness as a jungler. And with the mid lane tower being gone now for BULSU, that enables JP to just push up the lane and possibly look for a roam somewhere along with his jungler and just get their early game lead even further.
Well, not just that, he has a higher KDA, more CS than the Jarvan. So at this point, the goal is all onto this Lee Sin being more relevant in the early phase. But when you're talking about tank junglers, I would say they are at a bad spot in the preseason itself because the Resolve 3 itself, it's very, very underwhelming. And for a tank jungler like Jarvan, I don't think he benefits that much.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why tank junglers struggle in the preseason because a lot of the tank junglers before the runes Reforged got introduced, they relied a lot on attack speed runes in order to clear faster, but with the new runes, you don't have that option of taking these specific attack speed amounts, so it really hurt their clear speed. And a jungler such as Lee Sin, always a viable jungler throughout any meta really, Lee Sin's very popular, he's able to clear faster and just be more proactive than this Jarvan.
Yes, and that's actually the bad part, the bad call that BULSU made when they pick up this Jarvan, because Jarvan is actually a very healthy jungler, but look at that. Cry did not see it. Not a very lucky strike there. So back to what I was saying, when you're talking about the Jarvan jungle, okay, Jarvan itself does not have a healthy clear at all, but he does have decent clear thanks to his Damascene standards. It grants attack speed, but I don't think it can still match the speed that the Lee Sin can clear his jungle faster.
Yeah, the new runes really favoring the Lee Sin compared to Jarvan, but they're trading in the top lane.
I don't think he's gonna kill this Sion even though he does not have enough mana because he has not enough damage.
Yeah, Kissy's a bit too tanky for the Renekton already. That early game gank. Really,
The Ninja Tabi.
Yeah, the Ninja Tabi being picked up fairly early, really shutting down a lot of the kill pressure that Renekton provides during the early laning phase. But BULSU, they need to come online. They need to begin using their engage tools to look for something. I haven't seen them go for a proactive engage using the Jarvan Cataclysm or the Nethergrass from Malzahar. And once UC picks up a QSS on their carries, that window will be gone for BULSU. They need to start looking for these picks.
And I just love how Kissy is just bullying Chris in the top lane. Picking up the tab is one thing to deny the Ruthless Predator's attack damage, but to pick up a Bramble Vest to deny the heal coming from the Call of the Meek is just brutal. Chris already cannot even trade with this Sion.
Yeah, kudos to Kissy just not picking up flat health, knowing that he needs armor and to be tanky, and he's itemizing very well versus his Renekton.
But let's hope his itemization path does favor when it comes to team clashes. We are already seeing this Malzahar picking up the Morello. He is running the inspiration tree because he has the magical footwear. So for JP, already picking up the Proto Belt thanks to the 2 assists he got.
Ooh, if this Rift Herald goes to UC, and it looks like they will pick it up.
Macro-wise, UC, they are getting everything. First Blood, First Turret, and the Rift Herald goes to UC.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just brute force top lane and force Chris back, because Chris Renekton can't do much with.
Ooh, look at the damage. Wild Growth thing. You're still not going to be cutting off. That really heal and a shield onto Cry. Cry is very low, but the Lulu overstayed. This will be a shutdown bounty going to Jors.
Yeah, that was very lucky from Cry, able to trade 1-for-1. I thought it was going to be a 1-0. He's able to take down Ralph, and great pick off there, but I think they could have just went for the top lane tower because they were brute forcing that objective. If they set down the Rift Herald, they could have possibly taken the tower, but no, they're going to reset, and that does allow BULSU to push down this bot lane.
Oh, you should respect the Caitlyn's damage.
Oh,
The press
no,
the attack. Ooh, respect the damage from the Caitlyn with the press the attack. And I think for MP, he underestimated this Caitlyn going straight for the tower, ignoring the presence of the Caitlyn.
That's such an interesting interaction. Tristana hopping in the air, and she gets trapped by something that's placed on the ground. I mean, Riot, how does that work? But still, the headshot damage coming from the Caitlyn. MP not using a summoners there. Unfortunately, I think Barry will save it, but they're engaging in the jungle.
Cataclysm inside. That will be the gaze onto George to deny his movement. Looks like the sign is there, but that will be Cry taking down the Renekton. His eyes forced to flash away. George catching another Resonating Strike. May go for the kick, and Cry flashes in for the kill. Here comes MP and the Lulu for the response. Looks like Cry gets taken down by MP. He gets the shutdown. He gets the double buff. Now he has the red buff. He is going on to Kissy, but changes his mind, hopping over that wall.
That binding lasted forever, but man, Cry, he's playing out of his mind on this Lee Sin, setting up so many of the kills for his team, and just a show of mechanics from him, understanding how much damage his champion does. He isn't afraid to follow up on his Resonating Strike, and that skirmish in the jungle will get a trade in the favor of UC, and it will net them a bot lane tower as well as a Cloud Drake.
Oh, that is going to be... That's going to hurt BULSU a lot in their macro play, in their gold lead, because when they talk about gold lead, they already have 2 turrets, but here's the replay on what happened in the jungle.
Yeah, I do believe it was JP initiating as well. They earlier to pull the trigger again, and Malzahar here, even though he's able to get up the Nether Grass, there wasn't any real follow-up, so Acheron is able to get out safely, and Chris still squishy on this Renekton, trying to go up against 4 members. Unfortunately, he doesn't pick up any kills, and this is really well played from Cry, understanding how much damage his champion does. Unfortunately, he does go down, but it does net him the teamfight win.
So in overall, what happened in the jungle itself? Why did they lose in the jungle pit?
Yeah, again, like we mentioned before, if UC pulls the trigger first, BULSU will be in a disadvantage, but if BULSU are able to pull the trigger first, they're going to be the ones that could possibly come out on top, but unfortunately, they're unable to do that, and it nets UC the win in the team fight.
I guess it all happened because they are actually behind, not just in level. That's actually a huge gap between Ice and Cry. Level 9 to level 11. With level 11, you power up your ultimate, so that's going to be an advantage, not just in the smite, but in the damage that this Lee Sin can bring. And at this point in Runes Reforged, level means a lot more at the moment.
Yeah, and you talked about level and why UC is in an advantage right now, and a lot of that can be credited to Cry on this Lee Sin, really helping his laners, and this is very scary. You get a Caitlyn moving around the map, unless you're able to engage onto the members of UC, there's just nothing you can do to stop the siege. A Caitlyn with Zeal and Infinity Edge already will just shred through these towers, of course.
Ice. Look for the right time to go in half. He is waiting for the Cataclysm. Does get the buy. Looks like he gets the AFK warning here, and Cry just kicks him out of the game.
Man, Ice just went AFK there, and he gets picked off by the members of UC, unfortunately, and that tower will potentially go down, and they're trying to look for something, but unfortunately, so much safety from the Morgana and the range of Caitlyn, it just prevents a lot from you, but tank battle in the bot lane.
Tank battle in the bot lane, but I would not consider Renekton a tank at this point. He is really losing a lot, and look how healthy this Sion is, but meanwhile in the top lane, a lot of pressure there. That would be the inhibitor turret taken down before the 20-minute mark. With the Baron being live right now, UC has complete control of the Baron's vision.
Yeah, with that top lane inhibitor going down before the 20-minute mark, like you mentioned, for UC, that just puts them in such a driver's seat to dictate how this game goes. That's going to be so much more map pressure on them, and if they're able to continue moving this Caitlyn around the map and just continue sieging, they're going to be very poised to come out with the victory here and still stay undefeated.
There's still hope that Bulacan State University can come back from this deficit, a huge deficit, not just in level, but in goal, in macro-wise, in objectives. 5 turrets in the hands of UC. BULSU at 0 and 0 Drakes. Good thing that the next Drake will be the Cloud Drake again for UC. This gives BULSU at least not much pressure when it comes to the mountain or the ocean or the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, Ice got AFK warning again there, but
man.
will Joris get caught?
Oh, they are going to be chasing down George. Here comes the Lee Sin. That's going to be a lot of damage. Press attack has been popped with Cry taking out the Malzahar.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're out of position without his team able to help him realistically. And with the pick on the mid laner, I think UC might want to go for this mid-tier 2 tower. It is fairly low.
Oh man, look at the damage that Cry is dealing to Chris, and he can't even respond because the Morgana is there. More and more pressure coming from UC. Well, that's it. Oh my god, that is just brutal. The shift and the Infinity Edge just synchronizes so well to deliver so much damage.
Man, UC is just so far ahead right now, and for BULSU, even though if they pull the trigger at this stage in the game, they're just so far behind. But AFK warning.
That's going to be the binding to set up the clash for UC. First one to pull the trigger and the ones to win and come out on top of George. Does get a trade down onto Aculus. That's going to be a flash burned by the Renekton. And look at this Caitlyn. That's going to be a free shooting range, but this Vladimir JB will be getting the double kill.
Man, 21 minutes already diving Nexus turrets. Man, UC is just so far ahead, and with those 2 kills, there's nothing to wave here, nothing to defend, Justana being down. It's going to be 2 inhibitors in the favor of UC, and this is all just because they had a great early game. Tough for Jors.
Max range knockup from the air, from the side with the range given down. This will be UC. Probably not going to waste any more time trying to end the game as soon as they can. So far, they have a huge lead, and this is just going to be
another headshot.
This is just going to be a massacre where UC is showing their domination in the early phase of the game, in their, I would say, superior macro play in this last game of today's broadcast.
Yeah, UC showing why they're undefeated. They're just flexing their muscles in front of BULSU, and I do believe the game will end very soon. Another kill goes the way of Cry, and we have to credit Cry for his amazing performance during this game, and they're just kind of patting their stats here. I think this will be the win for UC if they do begin to focus the Nexus, but they're trying to go for kills.
This is going to be a very hard thing to come back from, and yes, that will be the Nexus taken down by UC. University of Cordilleras will be taking away their victory this game and still remain undefeated.
Yeah, UC showing why they're the undefeated team. A very dominant win there in under 25 minutes. Very quick game at that.
Very quick game because it all comes down to how well the jungler of UC did. I mean, Cry.
Yeah, Cry absolutely popped off that game. Really carried his lane, and they did have a rather losing matchup in the top lane, but one gank just swung it entirely in the favor of UC, and the rest of their lanes as well performing very well. And unfortunately, BULSU hesitating to pull the trigger a lot. They aren't really able to set up onto anything really, so let's hope that BULSU can bounce back from this loss, and really well played game from UC.
Well played game from the University of Cordilleras, and all comes down to how Cry, really the jungler dictating how the game should be played. And that wraps up tonight's broadcast of the LCL. Tune in tomorrow, Saturday, for another episode of the LCL, but we will be continuing tomorrow, and followed by on Sunday, the LVL, League of Legends Varsity League, for their second stream. So
yeah, I'm excited for all of that. So many games to watch. I really, really look forward to those.
I mean, this is going to be one of the collegiate leagues really popping up, showing the viewers out there how to play at a collegiate level. Because, let's not say, because LVL and LCL, they go hand in hand. We also see champions of LCL making it to pro. So these are skill levels that really matter and really up par with maybe one of the Buildover's finest teams, perhaps?
Yeah, and you did mention skill level increasing. The LCL has been increasing in quality. The players have been getting better progressively throughout the year, so I'm really looking forward to all these matches.
So with that being said, that has been our last game of tonight's broadcast. We have been your shoutcasters. My name is Vulcan, and with me is Chisto. See you tomorrow for the Garena LoL Collegiate League Summer 2017. Challenge what you know, and see you tomorrow.
Engaging in the jungle.
Cataclysm inside. That will be the gaze onto George to deny his movement. Looks like the sign is there, but that will be Cry taking down the Renekton. His eyes forced to flash away. Jorbs catching another Resonating Strike. May go for the kick, and Cry flashes in for the kill. There comes MP and the Lulu for the response. Looks like Cry gets taken down by MP. He gets the shutdown. He gets the double buff. Now he has the red buff. He is going up to Kissy, but changes his mind, hopping over that wall.
Warning.
That's going to be the binding to set up the clash for UC. First one to pull the trigger, and the ones to win and come out on top of George. Does get a trade down onto Akinos. That's going to be a flash burn by the Renekton. And look at this Caitlyn. That's going to be a free shooting range, but this Vladimir, JB,
Max early
getting the
tough for George.
max range knockup from the air, from the side with the range given down. This will be UC. Probably not going to waste any more time trying to end the game as soon as they can. So far, they have a huge lead, and this is just going to be
another headshot.
This is just going to be a massacre where
Go
UC
in.
is showing their domination.
Yeah, UC showing why they're undefeated. They're just flexing their muscles in front of BULSU, and I do believe the game will end very soon. Another kill goes the way of Cry, and we have to credit Cry for his amazing performance during this game, and they're just kind of patting their stats here. I think this will be the win for UC if they do begin to focus the Nexus, but they're trying to go for kills.
This is going to be a very hard thing to come back from, and yes, that will be the Nexus taken down by UC. University of Cordilleras will be taking away
Not enough Garena shells to buy the latest League of Legends skin? On sale now? Get shells anytime, anywhere with your Globe or Touch mobile number. Go to gamer.com.ph and sign up with your mobile number and enter the verification code you will receive via SMS. Log in and choose the game and pin you want. Check out to purchase the pin with your load or through your postpaid account and receive the pin on your phone instantly. Never miss a sale on your favorite League of Legends skins and champions with Gamer.